Hey everyone, Dusty here, and if you're a runner or triathlete looking to hire a coach, this video I just kind of wanted to talk about some of the things that you can look for when hiring a coach, and also talk about how I coach and the relationship that I have with some of my athletes. So first up, is a coach a necessity? No, absolutely not. But if you're an athlete that needs some guidance, if you're an athlete that just doesn't know how to structure certain workouts, when to do a hard workout, when to do an easy workout, when to take an off day or a rest day, if you have a whole bunch of questions like this and not sure of the answers, then yes, having a coach can definitely help you out quite a bit. So if you are looking of going down the path of hiring a coach, first off, you have to trust the coach. You have to trust that they'll help you get to where you want to get to as an athlete, help you reach some of the goals, and care about helping get you there along the way. It's okay to question certain methods that coaches may have. You might be asking a coach, well, why are we going easy this day instead of hard, or why aren't I going harder than this effort? But a coach should always have a reason for that. There has to be a purpose behind every session you do, or else it has no purpose. So if you found a coach that you trust, then after that, another important question you need to ask is, do you get along with them? There's lots of coaches, athletes, and just people in general who you probably won't get along with. And if that's the case in hiring a coach, if you're just getting a bad feeling from them, then you probably shouldn't hire them, no matter how good that they say they are or some of the results that they've gotten. If you're not going to gel, then it's probably not worth your time or worth the coach's time. What pushes people's buttons in some coach-athlete relationships will really make another athlete flourish. And the fact that a coach, especially in triathlon, is probably going to be in charge of what you're doing 10 to 20 hours a week is a pretty big deal. So I would say definitely make sure that whoever you're hiring as a coach, that you think you can get along with them. Next up, something to look for when hiring a coach is communication, and more specifically, how often is communication between you and your coach. I know within some coaching plans they say once a week you can have a Skype chat or email communication. Sometimes it's even less than that. It's once a month or once every 2 weeks you're able to talk with your coach, and that's something that I totally don't agree with. If you're paying someone for a custom-made plan, you should be able to talk to them almost whenever you want. Now that doesn't mean you can ring them up every day in the middle of the day and ask them any questions. That's nice when some coaches do offer that unlimited talking whenever you need. But as far as, oh, you're only able to email me once a week or every 2 weeks, I totally don't agree with that. Life happens, especially for most of you watching this. Most of you are age groupers and you have normal 40-hour-a-week jobs, you have families, life is busy, and stuff happens. What happens if your kid gets sick and you have to miss a workout, or you get sick and you have to miss 3 days, or you had to work overtime 3 days in a row? This sort of stuff should change your schedule, and you need to be able to communicate with your coach and change the schedule or forget those days or whatever you and the coach decide on. And on the flip side of that, how often do you get your schedule? So for me and my athletes, I really prefer to give my schedules out 1 week at a time, just because I know life happens, and it doesn't happen all the time, but for some of my athletes, life gets in the way and we have to totally change their schedule. Whereas if I spent a couple hours writing out a whole custom-made monthly plan and they had to miss a week because a kid got super sick or they got sick or whatever, then I have to spend that extra energy totally changing the schedule again. Because if you miss the last 2 weeks of speed training, then on the third week, obviously you probably shouldn't be doing that designated workout, because that is based on that you did the last 2 weeks of speed training. So for some of my athletes now, I'm going up to 2 weeks in advance for their schedule, but I really don't like going any past that, just for that reason. I don't want to give someone a month's schedule all the time and then just have to change it 5 or 10 days later. Next up, something that's important is, how do they give you the workouts? Do they just send them to you in an email in written out form? Do they send them to you via an Excel spreadsheet? Or do they use my favorite, and the thing that I use is Training Peaks. I'll show you all about Training Peaks and how nice it is in a second, but that's something to consider too. How are you getting your workouts from this coach? Another thing that I think is really important is, how does this coach coach? Do they only believe in giving you workouts based on heart rate, on using a power meter, just going old school and doing rate of perceived exertion? Let's just say you have a power meter on your bike and you'd like to learn more about that. Then when you go about hiring a coach and you want to make use of your big expensive power meter that you purchased, make sure that that coach understands how to use a power meter and what to do with all that data. That if you don't have a power meter and you could care less about all the numbers, you just want to get faster and you're old school, then maybe find a coach who's okay doing rate of perceived exertion, just giving you, workouts maybe based on a 1 to 10 scale. I personally think using all of these different training methods can be really beneficial. I have some athletes who are very data driven and our training is quite scientific. We train at certain power zones, at certain heart rate zones, and I have other athletes who don't have any of that stuff. Some of them don't even have a GPS watch, so they're just using their phone for time, and I'm giving them an effort to hold for a certain time and they hold it. And I've seen improvement amongst a lot of my athletes using very scientific method, and then telling some people to just run hard for this set time, and it works for both. Now, I would definitely say that I prefer having a nice blend of the two, so I definitely am a numbers guy, and I think like training with a heart rate monitor and a power meter can be super beneficial, but I never want my athletes to lose that rate of perceived exertion feeling. I want them to still understand what it's like to go out and run a 7 out of 10 or at a certain effort, and yeah, you can still leave your heart rate strap on or your power meter, but on some days we're just focusing on the effort. And I personally think combining all of those training methods can be a great way to improve. And lastly, something to look for when hiring a coach. One of the important things that you should talk about with your coach when you're interviewing him or her on whether or not you want them to coach you is, are they willing to work around your schedule? If you have a full-time job and you have kids who have activities outside of school, your schedule is probably jam-packed. And I coach some athletes who have schedules like this, and sometimes it can be a struggle trying to fit in certain workouts, especially when a kid gets sick or you have to work overtime. Or then your coach is really going to get to earn their money because they have to work around your schedule. They're making you a custom schedule, and with that comes working with you and understanding that there's going to be times where you're going to struggle and not be able to get in this run due to life stuff. So I would just remember when you're hiring a coach that make sure they're willing to work on your schedule and not give you, long workouts on Wednesday when your kids have 2-hour soccer practice and ballet recital and you work, and that's your extra long work day. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get in a long workout, so make sure that your coach understands that. So as far as my coaching goes, I've been coaching for a few years, and up until this past year, it's mostly just been friends and buddies of mine who usually are people who I just trained with anyways, and I kind of just oversaw their general training schedule. And this last year I started taking coaching a lot more seriously and probably got up to I'd say 8 to 10 different athletes throughout the year, and found it super enjoyable and really got a lot out of it. And so I live on Vancouver Island in Canada, and I coach a few athletes from this local area, but a lot of my athletes are online. That's the one great thing about coaching, is it's super easy now to write up a schedule and just create relationships with people without actually having to be there in person. So I coach everyone from hopeful Kona qualifiers in a couple of years to brand new triathletes who needed help with everything from picking out their triathlon apparel to learning about transitions and how to put a wetsuit on. And training methods were quite a bit varied amongst mostly every single one of my athletes that I coached, but it's been fun and I've created some really good relationships from them. And I've gotten pretty lucky in that most of my athletes are very consistent. Day in and day out, they're putting in the work, they're seeing the results, which is the best part of all. It makes me happy as a coach, makes me look good as a coach, but most of all, they enjoy improving and getting faster and just having fun with the sport, whether it be triathlon or running. As far as my relationships with my athletes go, I would say all my relationships are really good. Some are a lot more friendly and some are a lot more professional. But for the most part, within the first month of coaching someone, you find out pretty quick if you're going to gel together as coach-athlete, and sometimes it's even resulted in really good friendships. Some of my athletes I've become super close with, and there might even be a little bit of trash talking going into some workouts, which is always a lot of fun. And then some of my athletes, we just talk triathlon only and training only and how a race went, and that's totally cool too. As a coach, I'm here for them, whatever that is, but if you're super competitive and like a little trash talk, then I'm definitely your guy. One of the biggest things that I like to focus on with my athletes is feedback. I love getting feedback every day from my athletes from all the workouts that they do. I want to know when you're not feeling good going into a workout, or when a workout didn't go the way it's supposed to. But that should be the same across the board amongst all coaches. Coaches can't do their job properly unless they're getting proper feedback. And I also want to touch on how I give out my training schedules. I use a program called Training Peaks. Now you can just log into Training Peaks on a normal computer, or you can also download Training Peaks app to your smartphone. And there's a cost for me as a coach to be on Training Peaks. And what I do is I set up a Training Peaks account for all my athletes. It's free of charge for them, or you could say it's included in the coaching fee. And basically your entire schedule is logged and stored in Training Peaks. So when you log on to Training Peaks, it opens up a big calendar. It shows all the workouts you've done and all the workouts you have to do for that week. Breaks them all down to if this is a rest day or a swim or a bike or a run, and then you click on that, it enlarges that specific workout and it'll give workout details. So before you head off to the pool, you open the app or go on your computer and look at what workout you have to do. And then when you're done the workout, then you plug in the time it took you, the distance you went, and then you can write in your post-activity comments. And that's the feedback, and that's what's super important to me as a coach. I want to know how your sessions went and how you're feeling with everything. Now, a lot of the time I prefer feedback just through text or email, but as far as feedback for each specific session, Training Peaks is perfect for that, and it works basically like a journal. So I can go back 2 months from today's workout and see how you're feeling with the swim back then, some of the times that you were hitting, and as an athlete and coach, that can really help us both to grow and to help take you to the next level. Another great thing that I like about Training Peaks is that I'm notified when you finish a workout. So for some of my athletes, they'll finish their run and press stop on their watch, and it uploads to their phone instantly, and then right away, almost immediately, I get an email. So there's lots of times I'll look at someone's run or bike workout that they did, send them a text right away saying, oh, great job on the run today, and they're still taking their running shoes off. Training Peaks is definitely an awesome tool for me to have as a coach, because I can keep all my athletes in this program. I get updates right away, and as far as the athlete goes, it's a great tool for them to use as well. So I hope that helps shed some light on some of the important things that I think you should look for when hiring a coach. If you are looking for a coach in running or triathlon, I still do have some spots available. I probably won't actually start taking on new athletes until October 2018, just because my wife and I are having our first baby right away, and I just want to make sure that everything's going good with that and that I can get into a routine and just focus on the athletes I do have for right now. But in a couple of weeks, I will be taking on some more athletes. So if you're interested, I'll just put a link below and you can contact me through that link. So like always, give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe for more everything running, triathlon, and nutrition related.